What's up, this is Guarded Trace, and here we are with another video where I give my 2 cents on Dragon Ball DAIMA. Episode 1 was a really bad first episode of the series, as it mostly focused on recaps and lore dumps, as opposed to actually telling a story. But episode 2 did help to make up for that by getting the ball rolling. Will episode 3 continue to keep the ball rolling? We'll see. Episode 3 is titled DAIMA.
He said it!
DAIMA means great magic or great demon. This isn't the first time DAIMA has appeared in Dragon Ball, as there is the likes of Piccolo Daimao, meaning Great Demon King Piccolo, as well as Dabra mentioning the Daimakai, meaning Great Demon World or Great Demon Realm. Daima comes back to refer to Gomah becoming the new Great Demon King, and there's even a Fuku Daimao, meaning Vice Great Demon King. But kings of the demon realm are generally referred to as Makayo. Now, Glorio is returning to the Daimakai with Goku and Shin in tow. Just so you know, I might use Makai, Demon World, and Demon Realm interchangeably. As they travel into space, Goku is surprised to see how quickly Earth becomes out of view due to how fast Glorio's plane moves. The Earth is consistent with how it looks in maps based on the one from Daizenshu 4, where we see this is the Western Hemisphere of Dragon Ball's Earth. We also see Earth still doesn't have a moon. So even though Kami restored the moon after it was destroyed by Jackie Chun, the moon was never restored again after Piccolo destroyed it. Yet another example of how Dende is a useless-ass god. Anyway, they head to the nearest warp point, and the giant fish used to travel to and from the Great Demon Realm are referred to as Warp-sama. Similar to how the proper way to refer to God in Japanese is Kami-sama. The nearest Warp-sama is near a double planet with a ring between them called Batapi, which sounds a lot like Butterfree, more so the Japanese pronunciation Batafuri. The planet essentially looks like 2 waffle balls. Looking at it makes me think,
Oh, this is gonna be fun. We can stay up late, swapping manly stories, and in the morning, I'm making waffles.
As they approach Warp-sama, Goku, being his usual Goku self in regards to speaking impolitely to those in authority over him, starts calling Warp-sama a goldfish, much to Warp-sama's annoyance. Hey, you're a goldfish! No, I'm not a goldfish. Yes, you are a goldfish. I'm not a goldfish. If you're not a goldfish, then are you a pop-eyed goldfish? A pop-eyed goldfish is still a goldfish! Shin covers Goku's mouth to shut him up because if Warp-sama doesn't like him, he might not let them pass. Glorio lets Warp-sama know he came through there earlier, but Warp-sama sees he has 2 people with him that weren't before, and Glorio says they're from the Demon Realm, which leads to Warp-sama inspecting their ears to see if they're pointed. For Shin, this isn't a problem since he actually is from there, but for Goku, who isn't from there, there's a problem. Shin magically turns Goku's ears pointy, which looks weird, but I kinda dig it, and they're able to fool Warp-sama, who then asks for the pin before letting them pass. Shin is surprised that a pin is required for passage, since that wasn't the case when he traveled from the Great Demon Realm before. He was able to telepathically relay Warp-sama's location to Kibito earlier, but he doesn't have time to relay the pin to him before entering Warp-sama. Uh-oh. Once they enter, they're taken for a spin. They make their way to the relay point where there's a smaller warp-sama, and there are 3 hatches that each lead to one of the 3 demon worlds. The 3 worlds operate on a caste system. The first demon world is where the Daimao resides in the royal palace, so it's at the top of the social hierarchy. Meanwhile, the third demon world is at the bottom as it's the poorest one, and its residents are looked down upon by those from the first and second worlds. Only those from the first demon world can enter its respective hatch, so Glorio says they're entering the third. However, Shin rightfully asks why they don't at least enter the second, since the third is the furthest away from Gomah, but Glorio claims he only got clearance to enter the third. So off to the third demon world they go. They're taken for a spin again before they exit. When they exit Warp-sama, they get doo-dooed out. It wouldn't be Toriyama if poop jokes weren't involved.
He called the shit poop!
So, Goku and company have entered the third demon world. It's mostly a barren, rocky wasteland. We've seen a lot of those throughout the series, but this one does have some unique characteristics, such as its purple sky and floating islands with volcanoes. Goku takes in all the sights as Glorio and Shin explain everything he's seeing, and that basically describes what's going on for half of the episode. This is basically a tour guide episode as the characters exposit several key features and points of interest of the third demon world. This makes me think of the Yu-Gi-Oh card Tour Guide from the Underworld and how she would be their guide for the third demon world. If you look below, you'll see a giant hole in the ground that connects the 3 demon worlds. However, a shield of light was placed over it a long time ago to prevent travel between worlds. If you look to your left, you'll see a giant dilapidated statue of Dabra, the previous Great Demon King. If you look around, you'll see a bunch of flora and fauna unlike anything you've seen on Earth, as well as a bunch of floating islands. There's a lot of exposition here, but it's not bad as it's natural for Goku to be curious about everything he's seeing, and he even mentions how the demon world isn't as creepy as he thought it would be. We even get more of Shin distrusting Glorio, as the latter mentions how only people from the first demon world and select members of the second demon world are allowed to use Warp-sama. And Shin states that Glorio looks like he comes from the third demon world, therefore, he shouldn't be able to use Warp-sama. Glorio says he does work in the first demon world, but when Shin asks what kind of work, Glorio provides a non-answer to the question. So there's something he isn't telling them, which means Shin has good reason to not trust him. So far so good in the episode at this point, but we run into a problem once Goku asks Glorio to stop the plane so he can go outside. Goku wants to stop and smell the roses, or in this case, the air, and he notices it kinda stinks and it's incredibly stuffy, making it hard to move around. And Glorio, being the tour guide, explains this is the result of gas covering the area that makes the air heavy, but it's ultimately harmless. Then, as Goku runs off, Shin mentions how he's never been in the third Makai before, and Glorio, yet again being the tour guide, mentions that Shin is a Gorindo and they come from the second Makai, so there's no reason for them to come to the third. Goku chases after some cat-like creature, but gets too close to a deep dark trench, which is tour guide's Glorio's cue to tell him that's the Sea of Darkness and falling in there means instant death. Immediately afterwards, bandits show up and try to shoot them with arrows, but thanks to the air, they move slowly and are easily avoidable. But then Glorio pulls out his gun that shoots lasers to quickly deal with them. Afterwards, they return to the plane and continue onward. So, now I have a question to ask. What was the point of any of that? Once they stop the plane to go outside, the momentum of this episode stops dead in its tracks. There's no reason for them to stop at all. Nothing important happened while they stopped. It's just more pointless trivia that has no relevance to what's going on now. Okay, Goku and Shin learned the air of the third demon world is heavy and limits movement, but there are plenty of other opportunities later for that information to be conveyed. It's not necessary to stop now to convey that. Shin being a Gorindo is irrelevant, as this episode is not about the Gorindo, and we'll learn about them in a few episodes from now. I don't care if falling into the Sea of Darkness kills you immediately, because there's no fucking reason to go anywhere near it right now. And why in the actual fuck would these bandits select the bow and arrow as their weapon of choice? They live in the third Makai. They know the air is heavy, so why would they use such ineffective weaponry? And they're dealt with so quickly, they weren't even worth the time. Nothing would change if they were deleted from this episode. Nothing happened that was worth stopping for. Also, they're on a mission to rescue Dende and stop King Gomah, so now's not the time to stop and smell the roses. When Goku asked Glorio to stop the plane, Glorio should have said, "Yeah, I really don't have time for this!" So they continue onward, and Shin asks why they're flying so slowly. Then we get one last instance of our tour guide from the Demon Realm, Glorio, explaining there are a lot of volcanoes in the area that spew gas that makes the air heavy, and trying to fly fast against the gas will cause the plane's machinery to break down. Goku mentions that with all that gas, he could fart and no one would notice. Then he actually does fart when a volcano erupts. As the sun sets, they arrive in a town they'll stay for the night before going to see the third Makai's king the next day. The town is full of some rather shady characters, and when they check into a hotel, the front desk guy tries to rip them off by overcharging for their rooms. But he changes his tune when he notices Glorio's gun, so he drops the price. Maybe that's what we should have done to Nintendo when it comes to the Switch too. Goku's hungry, of course he is, so they go to a bar across the street where Goku stuffs his face with Makai burgers. Are you gonna do them out? Goku asks what kind of meat is in the burgers, but Glorio tells him not to ask. Those aren't rat burgers, are they? This isn't like on Demolition Man where John Spartan ate a rat burger, is it? Apparently the burgers are good. Goku's enjoying them. Meanwhile, they're being eyeballed by all the patrons in the bar, and one of them steps up to Goku. Why you got man titties? The Majin notices Goku's rounded ears and lets him know,
We don't take kindly to your types in here.
Goku's ears immediately alerts everyone that he is not from the Demon Realm, which makes me wonder why Shin didn't keep Goku's ears pointy at all times. It couldn't take that much magic power to maintain Goku's pointy ears, and it would be in their best interest to make it easier for Goku to blend in with everyone else. No one else in the Great Demon Realm has rounded ears, and while it's true that not all pointy-eared people are from the Demon Realm, all people from the Demon Realm have pointy ears, so Goku sticks out more than Rangiku's tits. That would be like if amongst humans, one person had ears like Zelda. That would catch everyone's attention, wouldn't it? What if word started spreading that there's a rounded-eared kid running around in the Demon Realm, and that information made it to Gomah? That would needlessly make things more complicated for them. Anyway, Glorio tells the Majin to fuck off, but they don't heed the warning and start causing trouble, so Glorio beats up two of them, then Goku gets in on the action when the punks interrupt his meal, so he proceeds to eat hamburgers and kick ass. It's like Rowdy Roddy Piper said.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
While fighting, he notes how it feels difficult to move around thanks to the heavy air, and this highlights how utterly pointless it was to have them stop their progress to walk around outside earlier. That earlier scene was completely unnecessary and is ultimately made redundant as we have the bar fight scene later in the same episode conveying the same information, but in an organic way as opposed to stopping out of nowhere to force it in. And my point will continue to be proven further as the series goes on. Goku proceeds to multitask eating and fighting, and while he's affected by the heavy air, all the patrons of the bar are also affected by it, and this fight gives Goku the chance to start getting used to it. So Goku kicks their asses and orders another hamburger. Then when Goku and company return to their rooms for the night, the Majin Goku and Glorio beat up want to get back at them for it. The next morning, they get ready to leave to see the king. However, the plane isn't there anymore. Uh-oh. Their plane was stolen in the middle of the night by those punks from the bar, so now they're up shit's creek without a paddle. The funny thing about this is the third episode of Daima, and it ends with their plane being stolen, similar to how the third episode of GT ends with their spaceship getting stolen. There are a lot of similarities between GT's third episode and Daima's third episode, as they both have Goku and company arrive to a new location, check into a hotel, then have their method of transportation get stolen at the end. For GT, it's planet Omega, but unlike Daima, where they willingly enter the third Makai, they're forced to make an emergency landing on Omega. In Daima, the receptionist tried to rip them off by overcharging for their rooms, but in GT, they're ripped off from using anything in the room through meters running up, adding to their charges. Then their spaceship is jacked when they try to leave. However, since they see it get taken away, they get a chance to get it back. Unlike Daima, where the plane is gone forever, as who knows where it could be since it was jacked in the middle of the night. So Daima is definitely showing some influence from Dragon Ball GT, as their respective third episodes share many similarities. Episode 3 of Daima was an alright episode. There are some good elements on display here, but the midpoint of this episode really drags it down. Goku asks Glorio to stop the plane so he can step outside 11 minutes and 32 seconds into the episode, and they return to the plane and leave 14 minutes and 32 seconds into the episode. So that's 3 minutes worth of pointlessness in a 24-minute episode. And this episode was already wasting time repeating part of the opening narration from the previous episode before the opening theme song played. It was such a waste of time that I wonder who thought it was a good idea to have them stop their progress for no good reason. Remember, Dende has been kidnapped by Gomah, and you'd think rescuing him would be their top priority. In the previous episode, Goku expressed concern and urgency for Dende's well-being before Shin assured him they took Dende alive for a reason, so his life isn't in immediate danger. But you don't know that for sure, and it's not a good idea to leave him in enemy hands for too long, so you don't have time to stop and smell the roses. Shortly after Daima ended, I started watching Frieren Beyond Journey's End. It's an adventure series that does have moments of the main character stopping to smell the roses. However, there are major differences. First of all, when these moments occur, they're done to further character development as well as inform more about the world they live in, plus they may be helping someone in need along the way. Frieren herself is an elf who has lived for an incredibly long time, so her perception of time is vastly different from the humans who travel with her, so she's never in as much of a rush as those around her, which leads to funny moments. Plus, the series often flashes back to her past moments with long dead characters to show how events of her past influence her actions in the present. Also, while they do have places to go and things to do, and there are time frames they need to do these things, nothing is so urgent that it prevents them from ever slowing things down every now and then. But when situations do escalate, they deal with them accordingly and not waste any time dawdling. But the biggest difference between why Stopping to Smell the Roses works for Frieren and not Daima is because Frieren is a character-driven series. Meanwhile, Daima is a plot-driven series, so taking your time lends itself better for the former than the latter. Don't get it twisted. I'm not saying Daima should be Frieren. I'm only using Frieren as an example to highlight my point, and I'm saying Daima should play to its strengths. Speaking of Frieren, get a load of those ears. She would blend in quite nicely in the demon realm. If only Saiyans had pointy ears outside of their Ozaru forms, the problem Goku and company are facing could have been prevented. Oh well. When it comes to what they could have done instead of having Goku and company stop for no reason, they could have used that time to cut away to what other characters are up to. They could have shown more of Gomah and Deges to flesh them out and give them things to do. These guys need all the screen time they can get to sell them on being threats, as well as developing their characters. They could have shown more of Dr. Adins as well. Or, they could have shown how the Dragon Team are adjusting to life being reverted back to children, which I think was a major missed opportunity for Daima. If you're going to bother turning all of Goku's friends and family into children, then why not take advantage of the situation by showing how that would affect them? If there's one thing I like about Toei's Dragon Ball over Toriyama's Dragon Ball, is the fact that the anime showcases more of the Dragon Team as people than the manga does. The anime shows more of them in their day-to-day lives when they're not training, entering tournaments, or fighting villains, which allows for slice-of-life moments showing characters in a different light. The slice-of-life episodes of Dragon Ball Super are one of the few things I like about that series.
Say what?
Okay, everyone, calm your tits. Yes, I actually said something nice about Dragon Ball Super. Daima could have done a lot with moments like these. How would the world react to seeing their hero Mr. Satan as a kid, and what would that mean for his status? If Kuririn is a police officer and Yamcha is a baseball player in this continuity, what would getting revert to kids mean for their careers? How would the Dragon Team members with kids who were turned into babies deal with that while also dealing with being kids themselves? What kind of antics are Kami Sennin getting involved in since he's happy to be a kid again? What are Gohan and Videl up to, and how are they handling being turned into kids? There are so many things they could do with this premise, but nothing is ever done with it. There are a lot of ways to get creative with the Dragon Team being kids for both Goku's adventures in the Great Demon Realm and everyone else's lives back home, but instead, Daima decides to spin its wheels to fill up time when it really doesn't have to. Hopefully things will pick up in episode 4. So what do you guys think of episode 3 of Dragon Ball Daima? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments. Also like and subscribe for more content. That'll be it for this video. Have a good day everyone. This is Trace signing out.